Oh boy, did I have a ton of fun yesterday. So, I started a project simply needing to replace my faucet, right? Simple, take the faucet off, clean it up, put a new one on. The issue was that I couldn't get to the Phillips head screw very well with my screwdriver because I was coming up at an angle and it was I was kind of coming at an angle and it was kind of stripping the screw a little bit, and I thought, well, maybe I could get a little bit of a straighter angle if I take off this overflow plate on my tub. And yeah, shouldn't be too hard, right? So I start unscrewing, and I'm thinking, at first I'm worried. I'm like, you know what, this is probably going to be pretty hard to get off. And then boom, it starts to loosen. Great. Yeah, it loosens because the darn head snapped off. And that happened on both sides, leaving just leaving like what looked like a welded, maybe like 3 or 4 millimeters of screw just stuck in here. And this, of course, is the back side of the screw, which we can talk about in a second. But yeah, so it ended up taking me. Basically, this video is what not to do because it ended up taking me about 3 hours to find a solution to get this screw, these two screws out of these holes, so that I could reinstall the overflow plate. But kind of step one, what I did is I sprayed it with some PB Blaster and left it for an hour, thinking, yeah, that'll loosen up what's in there, and then I can grab it with some vice grips, and we should be, we should be fine. So I do that, and when I grab it with the vice grips, the little nubs that were left, they just snap right on off. So that was a terrible waste of time. And then after that, I kind of resigned to the fact that I need to drill out these holes. So my wife helps me out. She runs down to Ace, grabs a couple of these little, let's see if I can find them, little 1/16 drill bits. And as you can see, I didn't know what I was doing because I broke both drill bits, and I broke them pretty quickly, trying to drill through the solid metal screws that were left in there. But then I did a little research, and I learned a thing or two about how to properly drill out screws. So let me share that with you because it's actually kind of helpful. I went ahead and bought just a full set. And on the second try, I made sure to get the best drill bit material you can get, which is Colbalt, from my understanding. And then as I was drilling, and this is actually something I did correctly the first time, but just make sure to have a high-powered drill. I don't know. I have another drill that uses a battery, and it probably wouldn't be able to do the trick, even though you do want to drill slowly. But that's part of what I did the second time, is as I was drilling, I drilled very slow, barely pushed my finger on the trigger, and only drilled for about 10 or 15 minutes or seconds before pausing to let the drill bit cool down. Because if you don't let it cool down, I guess it'll dull out the blade, or it'll dull out the bit, and then the bit will snap. And also, I went a step farther because I was so paranoid after breaking the other two bits and not wanting to waste any more money, that I sprayed some WD-40 into this here peanut butter lid, and I would dip the drill bit into that WD-40 every 10 or 15 seconds to cool it down. And then it's a very arduous process of stepping up your drill bit size. And where I had a hole from the 118 before I bought this kit, or from the 1/16 bit, I did have a 1/8 bit, and I tried jumping from 1/16 to 1/8, which is this size here to this bit here, skipping all these steps in between, and that did not work. I wasted a good 20 minutes just trying to shove that 1/8 drill bit into the 1/16 hole. It did work, however, when I took my time and was patient and went from 1/16 to 5/64 to 3/32. So I'm not saying this right, I know, but all the way up until we got to the last size, which is currently on there. Now, when I finally got there, let me grab my flashlight and show you. Well, actually, to backpedal, when I was about halfway through these steps, I had one of these Easy Out kits that I'd used probably a decade ago working on one of my vehicles. Well, you can see it's flat right here. And I went ahead and I stuck it in. I think that was when I got to the 1/16, because that was the drill size that came with this kit for what size bolt extractor you're supposed to use. So you put this in here, and then it's square on the end, and you take a wrench, and you're supposed to be able to back out what's in there. Well, this stainless steel screw had basically made a chemical bond to this brass piping here, and yeah, that bolt extractor just snapped, which meant I got to start all over back at 1/8 drilling out that stupid bolt extractor. Luckily, it ended up popping out without having to go through every single step. But yeah, that just added to the fun adventure. Another thing I learned too, when you're drilling out like this, you really got to make sure that very first hole you drill with the 1/16 is dead center. Because if it's not, as you step up, you end up drilling out the threads on the sides. And the stainless steel screw is still mixed in with the threads here. I think I'm going to be able to get a screw in here, a new screw, and kind of like screw it in and kind of re-tap it, so to speak. But if that doesn't work, I'm going to have to get like a bolt and a nut to put on the back in order to hold the new plate on. But yeah, just a fun adventure, and yeah, real fun. Oh yeah, I didn't even mention that I had to cut the bolt heads off with a Dremel and a cutting wheel before I can even start using the new kit, after I had failed once already, breaking the two drill bits. But anyway, I hope this rambling helps somebody out there. Even though you just spent 10 minutes watching this video, hopefully it'll save you at least 20 minutes, so you get a little bit of your time back. And yeah, if you end up having to do this, I wouldn't mess around with a bolt extractor. I wouldn't mess around with PB Blaster. I wouldn't mess around with vice grips. I would just go ahead, get yourself a nice Colbalt set. Take your time. Make sure you get dead center with your first drill bit, the 1/16, and slowly step it up. pause every 10 to 15 seconds, dip it in some WD-40 to cool it down, and when you go to replace it, your bolt, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use what's called I looked this up, 316 stainless steel marine grade screw that matches. And I'm going to put Plumbers silicone on it or some Anti-Sieze or something just to ensure that this never happens again. Because you can see all the crap I tried. And yeah, my back hurts.